So here's the deal, my friend. Your life, reality, and even success is based upon, and therefore limited to, the deal that you have made with yourself. Because we are all living inside of an internal agreement of unconscious and conscious beliefs that are defining what's possible, who we think we are, and how all of this works. Life, relationships, money, success, happiness. And that's why this phrase of "what's the deal" is not just a casual question. It's actually revealing your current inner orientation, your self-concept, your expectations, your assumptions, and your current emotional attitude towards yourself, towards others, and towards life. And that's why I love this question, and I use it all the time with the people that I'm guiding, because it's pointing to the underlying attitude or mindset or belief system which is giving rise to your current experience. It's even animating the current expression of who you're being. And it's determining your life situation, your circumstances, and the way that you relate to all of these. So "what's the deal" is actually a powerful prompt to reveal what you must be believing about yourself in relationship to the world. And when you come in contact with this deal that you've made with yourself, and therefore the awareness of the limiting beliefs and the constraints that you're keeping yourself contained to, and all the ways in which you're handcuffing yourself to being small and playing it safe, and rationalizing why you don't believe that you're capable of creating and experiencing all that you want. And so in a sense, this deal that you've made is your way of justifying to yourself why you can be right about your past based on what's happened or who you've been told to be, who you believe you are, what you think is possible. Because we've all been conditioned with ideas and limiting beliefs that have us kind of fitting into this world that wants us to play small and keep it safe and not stand out too much. And whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist or a musician or a guide of some kind, you can probably relate to this in the way that you relate to money or relate to success or relate to the way in which you share your work, the way in which you offer your services, the way in which you ask for money or exchange of a compensation of some kind. And in that case, you might be thinking, I can't charge that much, no one would pay me. And so the deal underlying that belief is that I have to stay small so others won't reject me. Or another example is success takes hard work and struggle. And so the underlying deal there is that I have to suffer in order to be worthy of abundance. And it's here that Carl Jung said it so perfectly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And this quote couldn't encapsulate this idea more perfectly, because these beliefs, these ideas, these conditions and programs in our subconscious, in our self-concept, in the subtle shadows within our psyche are literally ruling our reality. They are governing our life experience. And because they're kind of in our blind spot, we just take it at face value. We take it for granted, and therefore we have all the right reasons to believe that we are limited to this experience because we are unaware of that deeper causal realm which is creating the effect of what we're experiencing, all of which is predicated on the deal that we've made with ourselves. And that's just it. All of these conditions and beliefs and ideas are not originally yours. They were not inspired. You did not come into this world with them, but they were programmed. And yet you bought into them. You were the one that took them on and made this deal with yourself. And so in making that deal with yourself, you are the only one that can deal a new hand. You, through your conscious awareness of all of that which you have believed in and in all that you've taken on as your self-concept, is now your responsibility to see clearly, understand, and from there you have a fertile ground to make a new deal. So you become the deal maker when you are aware, when you make the unconscious conscious. And from there, you have the power as the sovereign creator or deal maker to rewrite the script of your self-concept. And this is the beautiful thing about this, is that you need only look at your reality, your direct experience, and everything that you have or don't have or wish to have but are seemingly lacking, to see the self-concept and therefore the deal that you've made with yourself. It's right there, hiding in plain sight. And so the question is what must I be believing about myself, about others, about the world, about the way life is, in order to be experiencing life as I am? What deal must I have made with myself in order to experience this limited reality that I'm tired of experiencing? And some clues within your experience can reveal this, such as saying things like, I always this, or I never this. Fill in the blank with whatever you normally say. Or people always this, or people always that. These are pointing to that deal that you've made, that unconscious or subconscious self-concept that is full of conditions and ideas and beliefs, none of which in and of themselves are true. They are just a perspective. And in that sense, they are all just half-truths. And so from the perspective of those beliefs, that reality is entirely valid, and it's actually real as an experience. But when you zoom out and realize that you are the creator, that you are the deal maker, and therefore all of it is just existing within awareness, that none of it in and of itself is the truth, but merely one point of view, one perspective, and therefore one deal that you can choose to make or undo. And so to start at the source is to ask yourself this question, right? What must I be believing in order to experience life as I am? This is the ground upon which the conscious recognition and therefore the understanding of the beliefs and the ideas and the conditions that we bought into is what is giving rise to our reality as it is. And in that acknowledgement, in that acceptance of what we've been creating, we now actually truly and powerfully have the ability to change the deal. And this reminds me of another quote that I love, which is, you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. Because that deal that you've made, which is creating your reality, is, in essence, who you believe you are. It's who you're being for yourself. It's your sense of self. And therefore, it's the source of the thoughts that you identify with, the feelings that you're familiar with, the day-to-day behaviors and habits and actions that you take, the perception of opportunity or threat or consequence that you're kind of limiting yourself to. It's all based upon this self-concept. And the sad part is that many of these deals were made to justify a pain or to preserve a sense of self, which is just wanting certainty, predictability, familiarity. And in that sense, it's a kind of addiction to who you think you are and what you've known to be. And all of that is a kind of false sense of safety, which is a great shame in containing you to a very limited reality, when in truth, there is so much more possible. In fact, anything is possible when you realize that all of these deals are merely just choices that you choose, that you agree to, and therefore you lay down on the table the cards upon which you get to play this game with. And so it all starts with a moment of awareness. That is the key to the freedom here. Because to know the deal that you've made is to know yourself and to know your true self beyond all of the deals, all the beliefs, all the perceptions, all the ideas, all the limitations which exist within the realm of your consciousness. From there, you can see that you're not the deal, you're not the belief, but you are the creator. You are the deal maker. That moment of recognition is the moment of sovereign creation. Because it is right here, right now, in the recognition of what you've been choosing, is the most powerful moment to come in contact with the power that you have and are to create your reality. Because, as I said, you recognize that you are the awareness of these beliefs. You are not the beliefs themselves. And so, therefore, you get to choose. And so, an example of an old deal may be that I must always be pleasing to others. And in recognizing that deal, you can choose to replace it with a new deal. For example, my authenticity, my truth, is a gift to the world. Or perhaps another old deal is that I can't be successful without struggle. And so the new deal may be that ease and effortlessness and even playfulness and joy is my new path to abundance. You see, when you recognize it and claim it from that I am perspective, you diffuse the reality and the emotionality behind it, which is what's handcuffing you to that reality. And it gives you the power to create from that same I am statement what you desire to create. That is owning your power and therefore mastering the subtle art of the deal. And to truly master this subtle art requires daily, momentary awareness of where you're coming from, where you're operating out of, the beliefs that are governing and therefore influencing and inspiring and creating your actions and thoughts and feelings and the choices that you're making. So to be present with yourself, to be aware of where you're operating from, is to claim your creatorhood and to reclaim your power as the deal maker, to in the moment recognize what you're dealing and then to choose consciously to re-deal your hand and to act in alignment with the deal that you want to make. And so what I recommend to everyone that I work with is a couple of daily check-ins, perhaps once in the morning, to set the intention of the deal that you want to create today, how you want to experience this day, who you want to show up in this day as. And throughout the day, just notice every time that you're either reverting to the past deal. You can notice this by the shift in your emotion, your shift in your reaction, your shift in your mood. All of this is indication of when you're slipping back into the old self, and therefore that moment of power to shift back into the deal that you've set in the morning. And then perhaps in the evening to reflect on the deals that you've made throughout the day and how true you have been. And this is not about being hard on yourself or judging or condemning the choices that you're making or the deals that you've made. This is simply about being aware and being the creator of your day-to-day experience, and to face this moment as it is, for what it is, as the reflection of the deal that you've made, and therefore to honestly and earnestly, with sincerity and integrity, see what you have been creating, and therefore have the possibility to choose something different. And that reminds me of another Carl Jung quote, which is, I am not what happens to me. I am what I choose to become. And so who are you choosing to be right now? What are you choosing to believe right now? What deal are you choosing to make with yourself right now? What about choosing to believe that anything's possible? That you can create whatever you desire, that you're worthy of it, that now is the time for you to realize it. And now is the time to commit to loving yourself and stepping onto your path of the calling, which is the creative expression or the business that you want to create or the artistic, musical expression that you wish to share with the world. Maybe it's time for you to put your offer out there. Maybe it's time for you to ask for what you're worthy of. Maybe it's time for you to give yourself the credit for all that you are and all that you have to share. That maybe life can now reflect that back to you by making the deal with yourself that you are ready.